I think there was never a moment where I was cutting that scene where I couldn't remember that this was a story about real people, and I wanted to make sure that even though this was a television show, that the people in the audience that were watching also felt viscerally like how brutal that scene was. My name is Peggy Tachdjian, ACE, and I am nominated for an Emmy Award for my work on Monsters, the Lyle and Erik Menendez story. This nomination is really fun for me because I was also a producer on the show, and so I was nominated as an editor, but also as a producer. That's been, a whole new world for me. That's really fun. I feel very proud of the fact that the show overall got a nomination because I feel like I worked on every episode. There's something of me in every episode, and so that feels really good.
Parricide is a very, very serious course of action to take.
What's parricide?
When you kill your parents.
Oh.
And, of course, Erik, it's not unheard of. It happens. 1 in every 4 murders involves a family member.
Really? Wow. Okay.
All of these cases are different. But most...
Just finding the tone of the show was always going to be tricky because there were some episodes that were really dark and sad and hard to watch, just because of the content of what they were talking about. But then there are other episodes that are shopping montages set to like great 80s music where they're buying really cool clothes and luxury cars, And so I think that was an interesting challenge between episodes to make sure that they all felt of the same world, even though tonally I think some of the episodes are pretty different.
Erik, did the mafia kill your parents?
No, I'm Lyle. I don't know, it certainly appears as such, but that's what we gotta find out.
Are you afraid the mafia
I
could
think
match
the scene
you?
that was the most challenging to edit this season was the murder scene in episode 1, just because that was a horrible thing that happened to real people, and I just wanted to make sure that we got it right. The way they shot it specifically so that they could do a lot of takes for it was they shot it with no practical blood on set. So all the gunshot wounds and all the, shooting and stuff, all of that was added in VFX later. And the reason that we did that was, one, yes, so that they could shoot it multiple times, but also because we wanted to be as accurate as possible to the crime scene photos. I think the thing that was really creepy and weird and strange in the end is I cut the whole scene and then I went back to count the gunshots, and we'd had access to the crime scene photos that we'd looked at a lot. We'd known exactly how they were murdered and what it looked like in the end of the crime scene photos. And so my original pass of the scene, I went back to count and I realized I'd missed like 2 gunshots and it already felt so brutal. And then I had to go back and add 2 more. And that was, really eye-opening. I didn't want to be exploitative about any of it, and I didn't want to be insensitive about any of it. I know there's a lot of people that mourn, the loss of Jose and Kitty Menendez, and I know that what Lyle and Erik Menendez did to their parents is a brutal thing, but that first episode was the only time that we were going to see the murder depicted as it really was, and then beyond that, we were gonna just see the murder through other people's perspectives, which I think that's really the thing about this show, is that we don't know what's real, right? We can look at the crime scene photos and we can know that, okay, they were shot exactly this many times in these exact spots, but it's that moment in the first episode, it was really important to portray it as real as possible and get as close to the truth as we could, because I knew that in the rest of the series, we would keep going back and seeing it through other people's perspectives.
Hey, Mafia, after what we've been through, I'd like to see you try.
Okay, is that okay? Come on.
Sound design was so important for selling all of my cuts. There's so many tools available to us in Media Composer to help us enhance sound, between Audio Suite and Audio EQ, lots of D-Verbs. There's a whole scene where Erik kind of is in a dream and he gets up and he walks into the room where he murdered his parents and he sees the blood stain on the pillow, and there's no sound in there, and so everything in there is sort of made up, and we just had to make it feel really dreamy and really interesting, and so much of that was helped by the tools in Avid.
What?
I'm asking you what you're going to do right now with this information.
Nothing. I'm gonna go have dinner with my wife.
My favorite thing about being an editor is the collaborative nature of it. I know that the stigma or everybody thinks that we just sit in a dark room alone, but I'm in so many meetings. I'm constantly on the phone talking to the composer or the music supervisor or my assistant editor or the other editor on another episode. I just feel like we're so collaborative and we're always, trying to make the best thing, the best show possible. And so I think that's what I really love. I love all the people I've met. I love all the directors I've worked with. I've learned so much from so many of them. Even their approaches to edit, is always really interesting to see, and what they were thinking on set, how I translated it and how maybe I should have translated it. I love every aspect of that, the interpersonal stuff.